All right, so Greta Van Fleet, back again with this time with a double EP, I guess it's called.
It's really a combination of their first EP and then 4 new songs.
Yes, so we're only going to review the 4 new songs. If you want to see our reviews of the other 4 songs, which are unfortunately on the EP just mixed in, so that it's more of an album sort of sound, you can look to this link here. That's where we reviewed the original EP, which was called Black Smoke Rising, and this one in turn is called From the Fires. Yes, which is, of course, both lines from the song Black Smoke Rising. So we
suspect the next album will be...
We've Been Told, or New Age Crisis, or just another line from that song, assumedly. But this came out on November 10th. It's Republic Records. Everyone is exactly the same. There's no new members. There's no new producers. There's no new mixers. It's all exactly the same.
I hope not in such a short time.
Yeah, right. But so we'll start right at the beginning with Edge of Darkness.
Edge of Darkness. Did it bring you to the edge?
To the edge of something. This is great. Like, unabashedly, unassumedly, everything about this is awesome. We got a lot of flack on our last video for criticizing stuff, and it's like, well, we didn't love it, but we really, really liked the last EP.
Yeah, I loved the last EP.
Yeah, a lot of people said we didn't like it, or were trashing it, but we liked it. But this song, undoubtedly, is absolutely one of my favorites of Greta Van Fleet.
Really?
Edge of Darkness is great.
No, I like this song a lot also. It gets better over time. Granted, from the first verse, the vocal is kind of aggressive right out the gate.
Oh, yeah.
It's so emotive, and it's nice because the instrumentation is kind of steps back a little bit, and you can hear all the emotion in his voice.
I would say this is very much like a classic rock sort of song, very 70s sort of rolling groove, like...
Yeah, and yes, this whole EP kind of has that same
the sort of like I said, 70s rolling groove is how I described it.
It doesn't have anything too ballady, and it doesn't have anything too rockin'.
I disagree with you on both of those.
Really?
And we'll get to it in a minute. But this song is great. His vocal really comes into his own on this song. We're not going to say the LZ word or the RP word.
Can I say it one time?
One time.
As I've listened to the previous EP more and this EP, he sounds less like Robert Plant the more I listen.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. On this EP especially, on this half of the double EP, I'm not sure if they're still doing the Stack 3 EP thing or if this is just the album itself.
Yeah, because
it's 8 songs and they're all 4 minutes-ish. So.
Yeah.
But
I hope they have a third one.
He has such a wonderful blues vocal that really cuts through the mix. He's really powerful. It's really clean. It has the reverb on it. It's such a wonderful
and it's definitely the focus of most of the songs.
Yes,
I'd say.
this album, this EP, at least this half of it, is much more, I would say, focused on the vocal. However, I will say his brother, so that's Josh. His brother Sam, who is on bass, this is basically let's have Sam show off the EP.
I love how clearly you can hear
the bass is so forward mixed, and he is bringing his game. Like in this song, I said literally the bass is just showing off his skill in the verse. It's so groovy.
In the pre-chorus, it does this
I said it was a sweet groovy climb sort of thing.
And it's interesting because usually to transition into the chorus, the vamp is in the drums or oftentimes it's a drum fill that cues you into the chorus, but in this one it was all in the bass. It was I'm I know the chorus is coming because the bass is doing the sweet
yeah, and like I said, this song, like I said, the bass carries the rhythm a lot. The bass invents its own fills. The bass and then so I would say Edge of Darkness is probably I hate to say it, but it's my favorite Greta Van Fleet song overall so far. And we'll get to it in a minute why. But like I said, the vocal, he really comes into his own. He really shows off his range. It's really powerful. And then the bassist just gets to fill up all that space. It's really awesome. He has so much amazing... And he's a really amazing tone. It's really round and soft, but stands out for individual notes. But then, gosh, this solo...
is awesome. Well, can we talk about right before the solo? There's this kind of lead that gets repeated, and it's kind of like a call and response between the vocals and the guitars. It's the doo-doo-doo-doo, wow, doo-doo-doo-doo, wow, biz like that. And that is really cool as a lead-in to the guitar solo.
Oh, yeah, it definitely builds up the tension for this guitar solo. And this guitar solo...
is amazing.
I said that this guitar solo is I'm not going to use the JP word, but I will say... It's kind of Angus Young-y. It's kind of AC/DC. It's got all the classic bluesy rock techniques. It's got, the It's got slides.
It got even a little shreddy at the end.
It's so shocked. Like this shows so much skill. It's just so amazing. This solo really shows me that they can rock hard. They can,
when it strikes the balance between being like, a lot of times when you have like a really talented guitarist, they're just like, ooh, let me do all these scales and fancy things to show off how good I am playing guitar.
This has soul.
It's definitely got soul. I've found that the soul is in the bends.
Yes, well, especially for blues, it's all. And my gosh, this solo! I said it literally has every classic rock and blues technique in it. It has slides, it has bends, it has just a little bit of
but
shreddiness.
just at the perfect time,
just enough, and it's just long enough.
And it builds because it builds to the like more shreddy business.
Right. We have to get off this song, or a change is never going to come.
A change is going to come. Did you want a change to come?
Gosh, this is probably one of the best covers I've heard in a long time.
I mean, it's you can do a lot of your own thing when you cover like classic blues. It's really
this is
easy to make it your own.
This is a Sam Cooke song, and I first
old
heard
school blues.
Yes, well, not that old. So I heard this first done by Seal. Funnily enough,
Seal.
He did a good version too. But this, oh my gosh! So this is the song that convinced me really on Josh's vocal. This is the song that just showed he could get low, he could get high, he could get those sweet, warbly tones that just so much emotion.
Yeah, I feel like he's definitely hitting the low notes better than on the previous EP.
Yes, I feel like this had so much better in the low range.
I think maybe it just because it would occasionally dip down but not stay low for too long, because I think he's not comfortable staying low for extended periods of time, but when it's like, da-da.
And honestly, I feel like I could understand him much better on this album, too.
Yeah. Maybe just because we got more used to his voice. I'm not sure.
So this is the first song that I really heard that has this sort of like chorus, or like the rest of the band comes in and sings back up to him.
Or are you sure it's the rest of the band, or is it just
that's what I assumed. It's probably just him in the studio. It's probably just him, or maybe the guys a little bit. But and also Sam coming in on the organ, getting that really piercing tone. I say it's piercing. What I mean is it really stands out in the mix as this beautiful like layer of like harmonic sound. And oh my gosh, like
and that like the adding the like keyboard and the little choir like fills up all the space.
Oh, yeah,
like we talk about with these other rock albums these days, all having the dream chorus. This album is doing it too.
Well, I would say this isn't even a dream chorus. This is like you can tell that there's several dudes gathered together singing. Yeah.
I would have preferred it if it in this whole thing with the chorus in the background. I'd have preferred if it's women.
Interesting.
Just like because I picture a mini gospel choir, singing all that.
It's because his voice needs to be counteracted by a deep, soulful black woman. Mm-hmm. Like
it does.
You know what they should do? Who they should do like a crossover album or featuring? What? Alabama Shakes.
That would be amazing.
Can you imagine these two together? That. Oh, it'd be so good. But anyway, back to the song. The bassist gets some like sweet licks and everything, and he's also playing the organ. Can you imagine doing that at the same time? No, obviously, but it's amazing what like I said, Josh is really putting everything out there. I really like this. I know I'm going to sound over positive. People are going to be like, "Oh, you're just saying that because people wanted you to be positive." Yeah. But honestly, I think this EP is so far like way better.
Yeah, and another thing I was going to say, like we're talking about the vocals on this song, is that a couple lines in, he gets some like grit in his
by the river.
Like, he gets some grit in his voice, which is it
was surprising, considering he has a very youthful voice.
Yeah, because he gets aggressive in other parts, but it's more of a, like, shouty sort of singing. He doesn't get the growl.
The blues growl.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can tell, like, his voice is going to get there someday. Mm-hmm. Yeah, or he can already do it, and we're just waiting to hear it more.
I think, he might get more, I want to say gritty. Gritty is the wrong word, but you know how a lot of rock singers have just sounds like they smoked a couple cigarettes in their life. Mm-hmm. Sort of
done a little coke.
Yeah, I mean, makes your voice lower, I've heard.
Well, but what I'm saying is, so the one problem I have with this is that it seems strange to me. Of the 8 songs you've released so far, like on your albums or EPs or whatever this is, one's a cover, and I really wanted to see much more original material.
I feel like because this is a song that's covered very often, like, it's...
Oh, yeah, everyone who's done a bluesy thing has covered this.
It's kind of one of those songs that's just out there that everybody has a version of. And so I think it's kind of an homage to their, like, bluesy roots. That's not Led Zeppelin. And
we said we wouldn't use the LZ word.
Sorry. But I think because they put their own spin on it enough, That
No, like I said, honestly, I think in this one, this was their thing saying, hey, we're stepping back from the LZ zone, and they're really coming, like I said, this is their own thing, and I really, really dig it. Which is funny considering one's a cover, so I said this is their own thing. But it's just, this is a solid bluesy song, and...
And I think my only complaint about it is that I would have loved to hear a step back for a minute, like, you know, when it brings in all the keyboards and the choir and stuff, I kind of wanted us to step back and maybe just have his voice with maybe just keyboards underneath for, like, a verse.
Like, if anyone's ever listened to the Dorothy album, there's that part in Missile where it's just her over organs.
Like, I kind of wanted that so then it could build back up to the full instrumentation and give more punch at the end.
I don't think that's what the song was going for. This was going for some sweet, soulful experience, like Sam Cooke wrote about his life, and therefore they're kind of going for that too.
I feel like it would have provided even more extreme of a...
Well, let's just meet halfway. Maybe we'll even meet on the ledge.
We used to say
Meet on the ledge. Did it make you want to jump off the ledge?
No, absolutely not. So this song is the I would say, like you said, there was no real ballad, there's no real this or that. I think this is the ballad of the album. It slows it down, it really brings a more emotional feel.
Yeah,
it's very repeatable, it's got chantable chorus.
Yeah. It caught me as more kind of folky.
Oh, like, extremely much. It's kind of funny. So the album art, which you guys have already seen, but here it is again, shows like a bunch of people gathered around a campfire in a forest.
And, first thing I was going to say is that it totally reminds me of the most recent Dark Throne album, Arctic Thunder, just with the fire and kind of darkness around it. Granted, I assume they don't listen to Dark Throne probably, but the other thing I was going to say is that the album art fits with the music really well, I feel like.
Oh yeah, well the thing is, the thing is, they said in an interview that they would get together with their extended relatives and their friends and everything, and they'd go and they'd camp. I forget what the place was called. It was called like Creek Valley or something. I'm never going to remember. And they would go and they would play music and they'd spend time together, and they said they really wanted the music of the album to be this sort of very human experience.
And when I was listening to this, I was thinking, I'm like, this is the kind of, you know, go on a camp trip with your friends, sit around the fire at night, you know, pass a J around. Like,
this is Colorado.
Share all your emotions with each other.
Yes.
Like, the whole album made me think of that.
Absolutely. And this song especially gets that, like, bunch of people sitting together with acoustic guitars feel, I would say. Because this is the song about your life, about your friends, about how it's hard sometimes and they're blown away by the wind is specifically a lyric.
Too many friends have tried, blown away by the wind.
And
I was going to say, and the chorus mentions, you know, seeing friends that have gone away. And...
Yes. So the song begins with a riff sort of thing that doesn't come from the last song and doesn't fit this song. That's the one problem I have with this.
That's my biggest complaint about the song too, is that intro riff doesn't make any sense at all. It's like this kind of almost upbeat rockin' kind of riff, and then it just stops, and then...
Yes, then it goes to a clean guitar with a phaser on it that's very sort of wavery and interesting, which to me just makes a sort of haunting, echoey, foresty sound to the clean guitars.
Really like that addition.
See, I thought I
kind of would have liked just a clean guitar better, because it makes you think more of an acoustic guitar.
Well, the thing is, I think they wanted to add almost like the singing voice of these friends who are lost and everything, and so the guitar kind of fills up that space with this other singing trebly voice.
I guess. Isn't that what all the ahs are for?
I mean,
all your ghost friends.
Yes, all your ghost friends. So this song is really sort of smooth and kind of groovy in, like I said, a folk way, and it's sort of like we're all lilting along to this gentle beat.
Yeah, and it's definitely a head bobby song. You know, you don't want to get up and like dance to it, but you want to sit there and be like.
That being said, the chorus punches it up a little bit. It becomes very emotional. I said it kind of reminded me of something like John Denver would write.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, literally, I said, I'm like, it makes me think of Rocky Mountain High.
It's this, because it talks about, like, going to the mountains and seeing your friends again when it's all over, and how everything in life, it comes back around. You don't have to worry too much. And how, no matter what, you can, like, be happy regardless. And it's just sort of, like, beautiful, melancholy, bittersweet sadness that that's why it caught me so folky and, like, exactly like John Denver. Also, because talking about the mountains. Yes, and it just has this beautiful, like, this song is, I literally wrote in almost every single one of these that this is an EP that I would call beautiful. These songs are, they're just really pleasant. Like,
and they all had, like, a little, like, whereas on the last one I felt like some were wholeheartedly positive or something. All these songs had, like, a kernel of bittersweetness. Yeah,
like, there's a lot of pure minor in the previous A Change Is Gonna Come. And as opposed to just the pentatonic minor. Anyway, we'll get back to it. But so this song, I would say, if anyone out there knows, do you know the song "Spirit in the Sky"?
No.
that's totally the feel I get from this. The sort of happy, sad, when I go, when I die, go see the spirit in the sky. Anyway, but that was just a side note. So another problem I have with this, I'm overwhelmingly positive about most of this, but another problem I had was that I felt like the solo was really muted. Like it was between a wall, me and a wall.
It definitely was kind of backwardly mixed, which is weird because the Edge of Darkness didn't have that problem.
That
with the
solo was fire.
This solo was a really good solo also, but it was kind of like it's like you put a blanket over the solo.
Yeah, it was lightly overdriven. It was lightly fuzzy. It was
It's like if we're in the camping metaphor still, it's like the soloing guitarist was in the tent while the rest of you are out around the fire.
Yeah, like I said, it was kind of muted, but it was just long enough. It wasn't too long. It had some beautiful pentatonics. It had some beautiful scale work. It was like I said, sort of classic folky rock. It was that sort of southern rock, bluesy, rocky feel.
I have to say, though, my other, one more problem I had with this song is the end of it. It kind of just, and a couple of their songs do this, actually quite a few, where the end just gets kind of jammy.
I said that too. The outro is very jammy, where he kind of just says the words of the song in a different way.
Instead of, say, repeating they'll have one repeat of the chorus, and then instead of repeating the chorus a second time, like a lot of songs will do, it just kind of, keeps going with the riff, but then he goes, just kind of says random words related to the song, or yeah, whatever.
He does say yeah a lot in this one, too.
Yeah. I mean, that's his
field word.
Catchphrase.
Yep.
And I just felt like it's kind of unnecessary. It's like, okay.
I don't know. For me, it kind of felt like they were going for that natural round a campfire feel, where they're like, I don't know how the song's going to end, so everyone's just going to jam out to however they feel like it. And that's how I felt like it was.
I guess I can see that. I just feel like they default to that too much. Because I think the previous song did it a little bit. Not for very long, but it did kind of have that same, improvisey sort of ending. And
that's just the blues rocky sound.
Yeah, I guess I just personally don't care for it that much, because it doesn't feel composed to me.
Well, I think in the end that's not what the sound they're really going for. Yeah. But
no, I can understand why they have it. It just...
Because the talk on the street says that they're a great band, and I agree.
Talk on the street. What's the talk on the street about this song?
That it's awesome.
It is pretty great.
So this song, it's interesting. It starts off with panning sort of thing, where it's like all the guitar is left and the drum gets this thing on the right. And that was a really fun thing to do. And it's interesting because I would say this song, unlike the other songs, is more like 80s rock. 80s rock to light sort of metal thing, because I said it sounded very sort of Boston-y to me, and everyone's gonna be like, that's so stupid of you to say.
I don't know if I'd say that, but...
Because I feel like, because it gets this it's just me, because it's sort of more pumped up feel, and we'll get to it when we talk about the end of the song where there's the solo and the big rock finish. This is a big rock finish, which is great. It's really good. But like I said, that big rock thing plus the solo, which let's talk about real quick. The solo is extremely 80s rock. It's much more because it's got some sort of it's got that much more sort of that 80s band tone, I feel.
I guess.
Sort of 80s rock band tone, late 70s rock band tone, than their earlier songs.
Although this solo also does have the same problem as the previous solo of being kind of back. Or do you...
I don't agree quite as much. This one
it's not as extreme, but it's still kind of is a little bit back.
I feel like this one has just a more modern, like you said, 80s-ish tone than the other solos had, and that made it kind of sound different in the mix. And like I said, I think this song is really different. So, like I said, it starts off with this left guitar, right drums, and it's got this basic riff to go under the verse, but because the verse has this awesome sort of vocal thing where he does, where he da 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 da. It's got this long stretch, these stretches at the end of each verse, and it's awesome. It's this beautiful sort of
well composed
waves.
Verse melody.
It's these waves, and that's really great to hear.
And then it transitions into the pre-chorus. I think it builds really well. It brings in the ahs, and he brings in the name of the song. The talk on the street is.
The funny part of the thing is he says "talking on the street" in the song, so the song should be called "Talking on the Street."
Well, then the only thing, there's a thing that bothered me here though, is that in the pre-chorus the drums do this vamp that's ka 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 ka, and then there's just nothing, and it's 90% of the time that drum fill is used before a chorus. The chorus is disappointing in comparison to the drum fill because
it builds up the energy, right?
Yeah, because the doing ka 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 feels like it's going to be a really dramatic chorus.
No, but this is a great chorus.
No, it is a good chorus. I just it kind of throws me off to have the ka 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 and then a second of silence and then the chorus. It's like, I feel like you could have stitched that together a little better.
I mean, speaking of the pre-chorus, there's this collection of voices that goes, just for like a second, and I thought that was really poorly mixed and really weak and really didn't add anything. I thought that was just really kind of weird.
So you would take out the
I wouldn't
chorus.
take it out. I would just make it... Bigger? I would make it more of the dream chorusy sound than it was. It was a little too small. Okay. Funnily enough, it's because I usually don't like dream chorus, but I felt like it was very realistic. Though I believe that was a bunch of them gathered around a microphone going.
Well, and if they were to do it live, I wonder if they would actually have backup singers.
I suspect they'd all just sing on it because they're brothers, That's
true.
So they probably have
that means they can harmonize together, right?
They probably had decent voices too. The very musical family. And Danny Wagner, you play those drums.
Woo! He does play drums very well. Actually, that reminds me of a thing I want to say about.
Yeah, he has
all the songs.
Let's go big picture then.
Is that in every song there's usually before the last chorus there's a moment where the instruments drop out and it's just a sick drum fill.
Yeah,
every single one, and they put the drums really forward for that moment, and it's like yes.
And it's funny because they've mic'd all the drums heavily like you do when you're mixing, and then they pan the drums differently, so it goes it like mixes them all around. And you're like, yeah, this is so much movement. There's so much.
The person mixing that must have had so much fun trying to get the right balance of the different drums.
I feel like this second half of the EP thing does so much better at showing off each individual person's skill than the first one did.
I mean, I feel like the first one still did that.
Oh, the first one is good. We don't hate it. I really like it. I have it on my iPod, and I listen to it.
I think that's something I could probably say about this band as a whole.
So everyone's very skilled.
A, everyone's very skilled, and B, everyone gets a
chance to show off.
Yeah, there's a little spotlight moment for everybody, and just the way their sound is balanced, you can hear every instrument and really hear what they're doing well.
I 100% agree. And so, if we're speaking of what they're doing well, what's your favorite song on this side of the EP?
Edge of Darkness?
Edge of Darkness, number one for me too. It's just, it's except the bassist, and I'm a bassist, so I just love him just filling all that space, getting so many sweet licks in there. It was awesome. That's what I love to hear. And I love to hear a nice, well-mixed bass, and he just shows right up. The solo, all the skill, it's just amazing.
Yeah, the solo is amazing. And the in the bridge section, I just want to mention that, I think my favorite drum fill was in this song.
Was that the one where it was all the panned all over?
Yeah, it was just some going around, hitting every tom 18,000 times.
Yeah, it was
great.
Edge of Darkness has got to be either there. It's not on the album. It's the second song on the album, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
After Safari Song, it is. Yeah. But I feel like they either open or close the show with that because it's so good.
Yeah.
So, that being said, speaking of the whole double EP, because it's technically a review of that still, is Edge of Darkness still your number one song?
I don't know. Either that or Highway Tune.
Highway Tune, yeah. I say Edge of Darkness is better for me because I like Highway Tune's riff more, that but I love everything else about Edge of Darkness so much more.
Yeah, if I could take the solo from Edge of Darkness and put it in Highway Tune.
Highway Tune had a good solo too.
That's true, it did, but I feel like the solo was just a little better.
This definitely is that's definitely the best piece of music on the album.
No,
that's non-vocal.
The solo is pretty great.
Yeah. So basically, if you could recommend this EP to anyone, would you recommend this half or the first half more?
That's a hard question, man.
I would recommend this half more.
Really? Because I think I'd recommend the first half. Because I feel like it had more variety of sound. I feel like all four of these songs kind of felt like they're from the same place.
Okay.
Writing-wise. I feel like they're all written probably one after another. Mm-hmm. Whereas the first one had more variety.
Okay.
Highway Tune was really upbeat, and then it had some slower songs. And
then Flat Power had the ma 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 ma. Yeah. I think that's Flat Power.
Yeah, and so I think the first one shows a more variety, but I would tell someone to listen to both, but I'm if you only have 15 minutes.
Yeah, undoubtedly this is great and will go on. This band is great and they're going to go on to do great things.
They're going to get huge.
So we look very much, if they do a third EP that ends up building a longer album, we had someone in the last comments tell us that this was the last thing, but we don't know.
Please do a third one, Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah, we love you.
Love it.
All right, so everyone's a critic, including us. Bye-bye.